Antoine is recording the call.
So from here on out, please don't say anything illegal. No, I'm just kidding.
Got it. Yeah, we'll keep that all behind closed cameras.
Yeah, and I saw you're drinking a Zoa already. I'm drinking my fancy health drink. It's a diet. I'm not even gonna give the name out, right? Because why would I give the name out?
You don't want to give them a shout out if they're not, repping you and throw money your way.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm actually. Well, we'll probably get into it, but I'm pretty darn excited. I still haven't gotten the Zoas yet, but I'm pretty damn excited to get them in so I can start trying them. Honestly, lately, like coffee's been like bothering me, and when it comes to like energy drinks or like caffeine pills, like I feel like that does so much better for like digestion. I don't know what it is, but like I don't know, maybe I'm just using bad beans, but like I feel like coffee's been bothering me lately. Have you ever had that problem?
So yeah, I mean, growing up, I wasn't really into energy drinks. I really didn't rely on them for energy, and to get about my day, but coffee was always the source, so not only is coffee, like you get jittery, I always had stomach issues with it as well. That's common for the people that I talk to who rely on coffee, but there really is no nutritional value when it comes to coffee, so I feel like if I'm going to be drinking caffeine or something that's going to give me energy, I want the nutrition to go along with it. So whether it's Zoa, whether it's any other energy drink out there, there's a lot more benefits, I think, than coffee, just from my personal experience.
Yeah, the not to get too personal, but the always a big bet for people who've been like lifting for a while. It's always the hardest thing to do is like pounding like a hot cup of coffee and then going straight to the gym. That's always like a guessing game, right? At that point.
And then plus, like, what are you going to do? You're going to take a tumbler to the gym and drink hot coffee when you're sweating already. And most gyms are warmer, they're not cold. So I want something where I can not only stay hydrated and drink that's cold, but something that, again, is going to benefit me nutritionally. So, yeah, coffee, I'm not going to be sipping on it before I do a chest pump or a bench. I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah, the only times I remember when I was prepping for my two of the bodybuilding shows, like I was working out at like 5 a.m. and it was like extremely hard for me to get warm. So not only I had like two sweatshirts on and like sweatpants on, I would bring like a hot tumbler of coffee because the fact that like my body fat was so low, like I literally needed like hot like liquid just to like warm my body up, if that makes sense.
And especially if we're in Illinois, both of us are, small, big boys now from a small town. It's cold. It's negative 15 degrees. It's negative 20 degrees. Just getting to the gym is hard enough. So if you're freezing, a cup of coffee is going to help you, motivate you to get there for sure.
Yeah, as you can tell, like I said, it's not candid, but we haven't done the introduction yet. But wanted to definitely just get some conversations started. But thank you guys for tuning in for the Gainz Podcast this week. We do have a special guest today, and he's a special guest to my heart too, because I've known him since like growing up as a kid. So it's like pretty crazy on how fast forward. I would say 30 years since I'm almost 30 years old. So I'll fast forward 30 years to make myself a little bit older than I am. And to see where we're at within like the health fitness game, to see where we're at within our career. So Nick, without further ado, why don't you just do a quick like elevator speech and introduction to you, what you've done in the past, and then we'll kind of get into like the nitty gritty things too. So.
Yeah. So I'm kind of gonna. So yes, thank you for the introduction. That is, I mean, it's hard to talk. 30 years. It's just such a long time, and I'm really grateful for still being able to know you and to have seen your journey. It's super inspiring. But I'm not going to go from like birth all the way to like me now. So we'll skip forward to probably high school. I went to an all Catholic male high school, and I went originally for football. My dad went to the high school, and I wanted to kind of follow in his steps. So freshman, sophomore year, I played football, and my junior year is when I really kind of fell into the whole acting scene. I was inspired by basically stage crew. I worked behind the curtain for an entire semester and kind of learned about what acting was, and just watching strangers come from different schools and my school have the power to emotionally affect others in the audience was something that was very intriguing to me. just to capture people in that emotional way. So fast forward to college, I did plays and I did musicals leading up all the way till my senior year. I wish I would have started younger. I think in the industry, it's a lot easier to start younger, or even just starting my freshman year, went to school for acting. There wasn't a whole lot of drama classes inside my school. There wasn't ways of me learning, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I went to college downtown, Columbia College, Chicago for 6 years, kind of learned the ropes and what to do in order to be an actor. Because again, I really didn't know how to act. I just knew I wanted to do it. And then after that, after I graduated, I kind of just stuck with film. Columbia College is a really theater-based school. So I learned a lot of, plays and musicals and how to perform in front of a live audience. But what really intrigued me was the film side of things. So I worked really closely with the DePaul University down in Lincoln Park. I was always there on the weekends, just learning with their film department, because they're really heavy on film rather than Columbia, where it was a theater school. And from there, I just did college student films. I helped with final directing projects with students. And after I graduated college, I kind of stuck with that. So I've done commercials, I've done stuff on television, I've done my own projects, which to me are my most exciting and my most successful. I'm more than willing to audition to be a thief, on Chicago PD, or a drug dealer on Chicago PD. But I think as an actor, I think my passion comes from my personal projects, because I'm able to cast myself as whatever I want and kind of do something that's different than I normally would do on television. So it's been really, really fun. And also I've met a lot of great people who are smarter and passionate like me, and have surrounded myself with those people, and to be able to trust those people to create projects together, help fuel their creativity, is something that's really given me a lot of joy. So I think in the long run, it's just been successful all around, to be able to provide that for other people and also to provide that for myself. And then obviously the whole reason I'm on here is to talk about fitness as well, which I think we can get into a little bit later.
Yeah, did you want to go? Can you talk about anything like what you're doing right now with Teremana at all too? Did you want to shout that out at all, or should we not?
No, we can for sure. I mean, Teremana is an alcohol, so it's not like something you should be doing daily, especially if you're into fitness. Yeah. But I guess, tequila comes from agave plants. So I guess you can call it vegetarian or vegan. So I guess I think tequila is probably the most healthy alcohol that you actually can have.
I'm pretty sure you're right too.
Exactly. So I'm the official tour director for Teremana, which means I bring this huge food truck around the country all year long. I accepted the position in February of this year. And basically what we do is we go to farmers markets, we'll go to music festivals. Dwayne Johnson, obviously one of the co-founders of Teremana, owns the XFL. So February through May was a lot of XFL games. So we were there at tailgating parties before the games. And basically my job is just to help make sure that everything's running smoothly and everything goes the way planned. And we basically just promote Teremana. We give out free cocktails to people. When we do some XFL games, sometimes we'll give out free food, whether that's tacos or that's guac on the rock, as we like to call it, where it's guacamole and chips. And then we also do, which is really special to my heart, is we do first responder events. So in between all those public events, we'll also do military bases, we'll do fire departments, and we'll also do hospitals. And we basically just give the staff free food to say thank you. So we usually give them French toast or tacos. And, more importantly, they work so hard, especially from COVID and 2020, of how much they work. So they're super grateful. I think it's easy to be grateful to get free tequila. But when you're at a hospital and the staff are working and they're really making a difference in the world, I think it's so special to see the smiles on their face. And those are the events that I really, really like. So I basically do that all year round. It's on the road. So I'm really grateful to be home right now to be able to talk to you, and also to have been able to see you these last few weeks. But yeah, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I'm really enjoying it.
And you just did a fire department event too, not too long ago, right?
Yeah, we did a few here in Chicago. We did it at the Chicago Fire Academy downtown, which is really cool. We gave the academy, we gave them free tacos, and we also gave them the choice of French toast as well. And it was cool because I was at the academy. I got a full walkthrough and tour of the academy. They were training while we were there, so they were going into how the fake mock houses on fire. They were unrolling the hoses from the fire trucks. So to be able to see all that, to do that, to be around that was really, really inspiring and really cool to see.
And to back up too, you actually went to high school with, or not high school with, but Donovan McNabb actually went to the same high school as you as well.
Yeah, it was cool because I already graduated, but after he won the Super Bowl, he came back to the school and he had the trophy there and it was able to show his ring off to all the students, which was really cool. But yeah, Simeon Rice also went to Mount Carmel. Matt Cushing from the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think he was a kicker on special teams. So there's been a lot of people that went through Mount Carmel. Chris Chelios with the Blackhawks. So now you got me. Me came out,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the best one that came out of Mount Carmel, right?
I agree. Yeah, I think I need more credit, but yeah, here we are.
But awesome. Yeah, so that's really great, Nick. Thank you so much for being on here again, and I appreciate all the sum up of your background. Obviously, you could probably go a lot deeper, right? Because you've probably done so much more than what you just said. But it's quite a bit of work. And what I love to see, and what I've been seeing over the years that you've been doing this too, is the fact that you eat well, you stay in shape, you lift hard, you lift heavy, and you keep doing your thing when it comes to health and fitness. Now, because that's probably the biggest reason I brought you on. Obviously, you it's like your religion at this point. I feel like no matter what you're doing with your career, you're always working out, eating good, all that good stuff. So let's back up and just say where did that passion come from? And then why do you continue today?
Yeah, great question. So I originally, I've been working out now and have been on this journey, I think for now it's close to 14 years. I started back in 2010. So I was already in college at that point. During the time in college, I met through a mutual friend of mine, a bodybuilder. We're not friends anymore, long story. But I'm really grateful for him and the time that we shared back in the day. He taught me really everything that I needed to know. He trained me. He kept me accountable for myself. So fitness wasn't something that was always in the plan or something I was passionate about, but I fell in love with it through him, I guess you would say. There was times I remember where I didn't want to work out. I would hide. I was dorming at that time, so he would find me and he would keep me accountable. I remember clearly there was one day where he knocked on my door for I would probably say about 30 minutes straight. And he would not let me miss the gym. He knew I was in there. And I eventually came out and went to the gym with him. We had a gym inside of our dorm room, so it was really convenient. But also I became an Export member, which is a local gym here in Illinois, which you and I have both worked out at.
Yep.
But through that, going through acting and doing stuff like that, I found that myself was having a difficult time on set where I had to do stunts or physical activity. It was hard for me. So I think, when people are having a difficult time or being motivated at the gym, I always tell them what's their purpose. Sometimes people get a purpose after they have a health scare. Obviously I don't want to wish that upon anyone, but if someone has a heart attack or someone is having problems with their lungs, they find themselves joining a gym. I always tell people that it's always best to try to get to the gym prior to something like that happening. So I was fortunate not to have a scare like that. My purpose is for modeling and for acting. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me focused. When I arrive on set now, I'm always the one that's able to do 12 takes when someone else is able to do 3 or 4. Just because I'm physically healthy, I'm able to do stunts. If I have a scene where I have to run, I can run and then I can reset and I can do it again and we can do it again. Because a lot of times for film, it's very repetitious. You're on a set for all day, it's 12, 14-hour days and you're doing a lot of your own stunts. At least I like to do my own stunts. You have stunt doubles, you have people that can do that for you, but I really enjoy the process of doing that myself. So that is my why. Obviously the whole, looking good in the mirror, that's always a benefit as well. But that's something I think that comes with the fitness journey. I think long-term, the end goal is something that's more important and it also keeps you focused and anchored each day. So it would be for the work that I do, the industry that I'm in. A lot of the roles that I want to do are action roles. I like the action roles. I like that genre. I'm not going to be doing, a horror film. So all the action films, obviously, with like Marvel, I'm a huge Marvel fan. All the Marvel movies, Chris Hemsworth, everyone that's doing it, they go through months and months of extensive training before they start filming. So that way, when they arrive on set, they're ready, they look the part. So for me, that's really, really important. I think that's where my fitness comes into play.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's like at that point, obviously you're in it for longevity, and also too because you're so passionate about your career, like you don't want anything to hinder that, right? So it's like if I was an actor and I wanted to take 12 takes and I wasn't healthy enough and I only took 3 takes, and at a point where it's like people even kind of look at that, do people actually, let me ask you that then. Do people actually kind of look at that too? Like when it comes to like those takes, is like maybe the next time if they're producing another film or looking to do another project per se, now do they kind of look at that and be like, wow, Nick was able to take 12 takes, I know I can count on him because he's never sick, he's always there, and he could keep going because of the fact that he just stays that much in shape? Is that something that they kind of look forward to?
I would definitely say yes. That's something that's never been vocalized to me, so I can't say per se, yes, that's 100% true. But if I was to step into their shoes, I know I would look at my actors, my performers, and want them to come prepared each and every day, whether it's learning your lines, whether it's it's a physically demanding role. I would want my actor to come on set and be fully prepared to do more than just 2 takes, because obviously you want the film to come out to be a good film. And if you're only able to do 2 or 3 takes and that's all you can do, I think you're also shortening yourself, because then those 2 takes better be great, because then that's really it. And also, time is money on film. We have timelines where we have to get a scene done, or so many scenes throughout the day. And if we need to keep going, because time is against us, I have to keep going as well if I'm doing a scene where it's physically demanding. So yeah, I can't say for sure that, yeah, that is 100% correct. But I know that for me, if I was directing or producing a film, I would want my actors to be physically fit for the role for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense too. It's like insane. See, the thing is, like some of the stuff that you say that people may or may not know, like I may or may not know. But that's pretty crazy, because the fact that, like, also if I think about it, like what you were saying in the overall like perspective of like hiring, talking to people, trying to get them on, even if I wanted that person on, but say let's just say they needed like a stunt double because of the fact that they weren't able to do as much, then in my personal head, like, if I was like a person that's like thinking about money and like overall production costs and whatnot, I would be like, well, like obviously I would choose Nick over like Joe Schmo, who can only do 3 takes, that needs a stunt double, because um, my assumption is stunt doubles cost money too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that you kind of you bring it back to that, because the fact that you want to stay as healthy and whatnot. So let me ask you this then for the next question is like, have you had like overall plans throughout your career of like acting, modeling, and working in Teremana? Like, have you had plans written out for you? Do you kind of program your own workouts? Like, how do you go about like doing your workouts?
I think it depends on what I'm trying to do. Obviously, different workouts will create different outcomes. So whether I'm bulking for a role or I'm cutting for a role, obviously I always have to change the way I eat, and I have to change the way I train. But it's never something that's written out.
Yeah.
I think not doing any films right now. I think I have kind of like the freedom to kind of do whatever I want. But as soon as I hear that, I'll be cast in a role or I'm doing a film, obviously my mentality changes and the way I approach fitness changes, especially diet. Like you said, diet's really, really important. Obviously, you want to carb up a little bit if you're trying to bulk and kind of eat leaner when you're trying to lean out. But it's never something that has been written out for me or something I've written out for myself. I think I just approach it and make those decisions based on what I'm doing. So right now I'm really trying just to maintain. I have gotten a little bit leaner over the summer, which is normal for me. I usually end up, hibernating during the winter and eating a lot more carbs. But it's never something that I plan, only depending on, if I'm doing a rule.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because I think it keeps like exercising and like the way you eat a little bit more interesting. Because I feel like, someone like me who is not in the film business or the modeling business, like for like pretty much after I ran my marathon in January, I've been pretty much just like I guess gaintaining, but I'm only added like 4 or 5 pounds since January. So it's like one of those things where like what's nice about that, what I'm trying to say is what's nice about that is like say if you had to cut down for a film or a project, like you had to cut down, right? So like people like who aren't in the industry, they have to decide, right? It's either bulk, maintain, cut. So it's like one of those things where it's like that's sometimes the harder decision when you don't have people like, hey, Nick, you need to cut out like some body fat because we want you to look pretty lean on set. So it's just pretty interesting that you have to go about that way because you don't have to have you don't have to be all strict all the time. You don't have to worry about just like maintaining all the time, bulking all the time and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
I guess it'd be similar to someone who's doing like a show, like a bodybuilding show, obviously if they're going to be doing a show 6 months from now, they kind of prep for that. So I'd kind of approach that in the same way, depending on what the role is and what my goals are. But yeah.
What is quick stats? Like obviously before we started recording, I was like, damn, Nick, you're out angling me right now with this I'm seriously like he knows his angles and like even that picture I took with you, like I feel like I would never know that angle to take with like he goes, okay, Antoine, come on, we need the lighting. But what's like your stats right now when it comes to like height, body weight, like what are you rocking right now?
Right now I'm 5'11". I always say I'm 6 feet. I'm 5'11.5". Right now I'm sitting at around 193. Over the summer I was around 187. So I know we're like tailing end of the summer now, going into the fall. I'm sitting at 193. Body percentage as far as fat or my BMI is around 10%, 10-11%. But that's pretty normal for me. Obviously, I'm not competing or anything like that. Obviously, I would lower that a lot more, but I would say it's around 10, at most 11%.
That's pretty damn good though, because I mean most people like on average that don't work out or who work out like casually, they typically will like hover around like 20% or even sometimes more, which is like pretty dangerous to like the health. And like you and I mean I say I'm 6'2" and I feel like I'm 6'1". And I'm only 203, so it's like you and I feel like are almost like the same size when it comes to like height and weight. But that's pretty interesting. So what I wanted to ask you after that then is I know you said you kind of don't like you go based on like what you're working on right now, but are you more like strength focused or more hypertrophy or like bodybuilding focus? Because I know you didn't really mention that. I just wanted to just get that answer out there.
I would say I'm more bodybuilder focused. A lot of my workouts are bodybuilder, I guess, driven.
Yeah.
I would say out of everything. Yeah, I'm not a power lifter or anything like that. I would say bodybuilder for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember when we were lifting, you were going pretty heavy on some things, but like you're still rocking like 10 reps or more, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, you kept up pretty damn well yourself, man. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I try my best. I'm just here for the good workouts. I'm that type of person where just like someone I haven't seen in a while or someone who I want to work out with. I don't care what the routine is. Like I just want to catch a lift. And I bet you're the same way too. Like if I would have been like Nick, let's do my workout, you'd be like, okay, sure.
Well, yeah. So I love working out with people. Like I always invite people to my workouts, and a lot of times it's a lot harder and it's easier said than done just because I travel so much. But when I do have the opportunity, like I did with you, to work out and share a lift, I love to learn while I'm lifting, because even after 13 years, there's so many different exercises that are out there that I don't know about, or that someone might do differently than me. So, when it comes to that, I feel like you have to go in it and approach it from an open mindset, just because there is so much to learn. And I approach that way, in anything in my life. I always feel like I'm a student. I'm always learning. I'm never really a master at anything. And even when it comes to the fitness industry, I love working out with people that I haven't seen in a while. And even people I do work out with all the time, I still learn so much from them. So I'm really happy that you went into it with an open mindset and you're like, no, this is what we're doing. So hopefully you learned something that day. And I know we both know a lot. So hopefully we can learn even more when we work out again.
Yeah, what I always love is like when I talk to people about like we're always asking like, hey, do you count your calories all the time? Hey, do you just like have to record every workout? I'm like, yeah, most of the time, right? But like,
yeah,
there's certain times like I went out downtown on Tuesday and we had dinner and whatnot, and one of the people I was with, they're like, oh, are you gonna like remember that or record the food and whatnot? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's like one of those like special things where it's like you're never gonna like like take a step back by like taking a break on things like when it comes to like eating and lifting. So like when I lifted with you, I'm like, yeah, I typically probably wouldn't do like some of these exercises like on this day, but it's like at the end of the day, like you were saying, like who cares? Like I think it's more about the experience. And like when it comes to like the podcast too, we're all trying to stay as healthy and as strong as possible, right? So it's like one of those things. It's like you're never gonna like take a step. I mean, yeah, I bet you could hurt yourself if you're like, if Nick got like with like a power lifter and Nick's like, I haven't deadlifted like over 200 pounds in like 5 years, and they're throwing like 315, 405, and Nick's like, all right, let's try it.
Yeah, game over.
Which because you said bodybuilding, I know we did some incline Smith machine bench, and I wanted to ask you, like, do you ever go back to like the big three, like barbell squat, deadlift, or bench?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think those are super vital when it comes to working out. I like the old school stuff, the stuff that you do in prison. Not saying that I've been to prison. Like, like push-ups, pull-ups, deadlifts, squat, just the simple basics. I feel like those are super important and they have so many benefits to it. So yes, I definitely do for sure. The big three.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean,
you're a huge deadlifter, right? How much you throwing up now?
I just did that whiskey and deadlift competition, and my goal was to do beltless stuff and our beltless like lifting for the past like a year and a half, 2 years now, and I was able to do 474 pounds.
Damn, all right.
My goal is 500 though, so it's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, I hit 474, but I didn't hit 500. They had like a system where it was like auction style. And like the next weight from 474 was 508. So I couldn't, it was just too much of a jump. Like, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I could have hit 500, maybe I couldn't, but like I have like such a long career of lifting where I don't really need to do it like then and there, right? So.
And then once you hit 500 and you accomplish that, you're gonna end up being like, let's hit 530, let's hit 570. It's just there's never gonna be an end game. At least in my opinion, I feel like we're not gonna be satisfied. So it just gives you something to look forward to doing.
Yeah, and honestly, like lately, like because like the strength game, I feel like like you're never gonna like surpass like your genetics. And like, yeah, I did hit like a 505 deadlift with like a belt on. But like, like even if I hit this beltless, like I'm not like the, like the genetic elites. And like Nick knows my whole family. And so like genetically, like, I probably wasn't supposed to be this strong anyways.
Yeah, that is true.
So, it goes back to your point. Like, that's why I love bodybuilding still. And that's why I still do like bodybuilding stuff, because to your point, like I just want to like look good and feel good at the same time. And, like lately, like I'm not even like excited to like gain like 10 pounds, because like then I'm just gonna look fat, feel fat. And not to say being fat is bad, guys. I don't want to get canceled. If you're healthy and you're a little bit overweight, then I would say you're fine, and if you're happy about it, right? But like I'm just saying for myself, like I always feel like sluggish if I'm like 220, 215, and it just doesn't look as good as like right now I'm at like 203. But Nick,
and all your clothes don't fit, right? I have that problem. I'm like all fluffy during my bulking season, and I'm, I can't even get on a shirt, so it's so much more comfortable. That's why I'm wearing these. I have to rip all my sleeves off. Uh,
do you also have I was gonna say, do you have two sets of like clothing in like your closet, like one when you're like cutting and one when you're a little fluffy?
Yeah, so you got the left side for the lean days and then the right side for the fluffy days. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of like all the bodybuilders out there or whoever's into fitness. Yeah, we all have our certain drawers that we know we can't go into, in the fall or the summer. Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Would you say that's probably the only negative thing about like getting into lifting is like dropping weight and gaining weight?
Yeah, some people do it more. Yeah, because it can be unhealthy depending on how you approach it. I have nothing but respect and admiration for bodybuilders, especially because that's how I started. I was trained by a bodybuilder, but putting on weight and throwing off weight is not the healthiest. There's a very special way and healthy way of approaching that. I can throw Christian Bale's name out there with, he's a phenomenal actor. Obviously, he's done so much from The Dark Knight to.
He's one of my favorite actors too, by the way.
Yeah, so talented, but the roles he takes, will require him to put on weight or get chiseled abs for Batman. So there's a way of approaching, and it's not the healthiest lifestyle. So you just got to make sure that you're doing it a very healthy way, not dramatically, but over time.
Now, time for the dark question, right, Nick? Ready for this? He's like, I'm not ready.
We're not talking about anything illegal on camera, but here we go.
No, I know. I just wanted your opinion. So you brought up Chris Hemsworth already. You brought up Christian Bale. So when it comes to those roles and whatnot, there's always been speculation in like the fitness industry and whatnot. Like Derek from More Plates, More Dates, he always like goes over like transformations, and I think he just recently did a Chris Hemsworth transformation for, what is it, Thor, the newest movie that he just made. Mm-hmm. So he just made like a whole video on like, okay, so he went from like this to this by the time of film, and then like he's trying to like dive deep in like the specifics. Now, not to hurt your street cred and whatnot. Now, do you think it's possible that like some people are doing this like not naturally when it comes to like big films? And not to say that you think it yes or no, and for a fact this is all an opinion, and we're not hating on anyone here, right? So,
great question. I feel there's a lot of pressure when it comes to film and being an actor, just because you're the lead role, you're the star of the film, Thor, Chris Hemsworth. There's a lot of pressure on you, not only to come to set prepared, healthy, but you also are a god. You have to look the part. And obviously, you're getting 15 million plus on this film that you're filming for a few months. I feel like. And again, not speculating or saying that things are true, but I feel like as an actor, especially Chris Hemsworth, yeah, he has the money to have the best trainer, in Australia. He obviously has his diet dialed in. He's been doing fitness for so many years. He has an app, so he knows what he's doing. But with acting and also with film, there's the benefit of having things photoshopped or digitally added. I know I've watched stuff on YouTube for people that talking about Chris Hemsworth, transformation journey. And, there was a specific scene in the last Thor where he had, was supposed to be naked, and he's huge, chiseled, jacked, sweat dripping off his biceps. And a lot of, people who are behind the scenes speculated that there was a lot of digital stuff that was changed. So, I can't say yes, no, but I just know that there is the technology nowadays in films, especially where we're at in film, that you can change a lot of stuff. You can make things bigger. You can make things appear differently. You have a lot of different control over that. So I can't say yes or no. I feel like when you approach a role, you do your best, as much as you can do. If you need to add weight, you need to get a certain look. And then when it comes time to shoot, you can always change things after, in post-production after the film wraps, So are we really looking at Chris Hemsworth on TV the way he looked on set? We don't know, only the people that were there that day. So I can't say yes or no, but I do know there's the, possibility of changing things after the film's out.
You said they can make things bigger. Now let's go for. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, same, chest, arms.
No. I was thinking something else, but um, but no, that's like a good answer, honestly, because I think you answered it perfectly. Like and also what you said in the beginning too. Like if I had like Chris Hemsworth money, like I would have a chef make all my food.
Mhm.
Like I would never grab like a Snickers bar because like I mean we're talking about they can make like a filet mignon with like special Cajun pasta. Like it's like those things like that would be like the easiest thing for me because like I would never like mess up because I was always would have someone make something for me. And also to the point where like you were saying the best trainers in Australia, I mean, I bet like they have someone watching him work out and they're like, "Well, I see you doing this. Let's do this." And we're talking about like yeah, like that's like insane. And like I'm pretty sure your results will probably be so much better if you had that. I mean, like,
It's one, it's,
yeah, like,
it's one thing less you have to worry about because
yeah,
you and I, we have to think about what are we going to eat in 2 hours? What are we going to eat for dinner? What are we going to eat for breakfast? We also have to come up with our workout regimen. If you have your trainer and you have the best trainer in Australia, they're doing that all for you. You can go about your day. He can worry about his kids that he's watching. And then he can, all of a sudden be like, hey, chef, hey, eat this. It's time to eat. We don't have to worry about that. Or he's being handed food, the best food. They're making sure that he's eating the proper way for the role that he's doing. So like you said, it's just one less thing we would have to worry about, if not more things we would have to worry about throughout the day. Having that personal chef being at the house 24/7.
and we're not even talking about buying groceries and then having to cook those groceries all the time. I mean, just like me eating like 4 to 6 meals a day. I couldn't tell you how many times like I have to like actually put stuff together and like the thought process and that's probably why the typical average person is kind of overweight because of the fact that like because there's so much processed food, you can grab a Snickers bar, like back to the Snickers bar, you can grab a Snickers bar whenever you want. You don't have to chop anything up, you don't have to sear it, you don't have to put it together, you don't have to bake anything, you don't have to like mix anything. That's already ready. So why and it's so cheap too. It's like okay, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna go to Walgreens and grab a dollar Snickers bar. Wow, it's a dollar. Like dollar's like pretty cheap for food instead of spending extra couple bucks and getting a whole meal, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more than just going to the gym and spending that time in the gym. There's so much more that goes into it outside of the gym. Obviously, stuff that's even more important, your diet and how much goes into that. You can't just buy lettuce and buy these things and expect them to just pop on a plate by themselves. So, yeah, there's so much time that's involved in investment. But I was just having this conversation over dinner with someone a couple days ago, who recently really has started to take her health and fitness very seriously, and she said, it doesn't matter how much I'm paying for a gym membership. It doesn't matter how much I'm paying for food because you're investing in yourself. She's like, I'm looking for longevity. I'm looking for that long-term things, those things that I'm looking forward to doing down in the future that I can do because I'm taking care of myself. It's amazing that people will get so upset and they'll be cautious about doing certain things, but then it'll be so easy to grab those bags of chips at Walgreens or go to McDonald's through the drive-through and get that soda or that Big Mac. And you're the best thing that you could do is take care of yourself. You are your best investment. And I'm not trying to be motivational or inspiring. It's coming off that way, but you're the best machine you have. If you can't live life because you're not taking care of yourself, then what's going to happen in the long term? You're going to not be able to walk. You're going to be sitting differently. Your posture is not going to be good. You're going to have diseases or things that are going to start building up inside. So it's better to just start younger and to start now rather than wait for those problems to arise and then start. So I think when it comes to diet, like you said, with making food and how much time that takes, at the end of the day, you're investing in yourself. And yeah, that's expensive and it takes time, but I'd rather be doing that than sitting in a hospital bed eating some ice cream, down the road.
I'm pretty sure Nick turned on some David Goggins before he got on a podcast. He's like, dude, I'm feeling motivated.
You caught me.
Let me ask you about the nutritional part about your game and with staying healthy and whatnot. Or what do you, I mean, I know you said that you kind of just like to train, you like to kind of go with the flow, kind of go what you want to do. Now with eating, like what are some of the things that you kind of look forward and like your daily ritual with food? Like how do you set up your days? Do you set up your days? And then like, any other details when it comes to like eating and staying in shape for you?
Yeah. So I mean, it's when you go to the grocery store, stay out of the center of the grocery store because that's where all the bad stuff's at. The candy, the all the chips. The outside is usually the best, the salmon, the steaks, all those foods that you actually have to cook. But yeah, I mean, I start off my morning usually with some oatmeal. I usually do some like protein oatmeal. I'll mix it up with some protein that I have, and I'll have usually a protein shake next to it. And then I kick off my day by going to the gym. I eat pretty lean right now, so it's a lot of meat. I try to stay away from red meats as much, as I can, but I'll have steaks, I'll have chicken, the boring foods. I think it's really easy to find results when you're eating the same thing every day because, as you mentioned, like counting macros, which is something I actually don't do, but people who are, competing in the bodybuilding industry, that's very, very important. So I think it's so easy to just keep eating the same thing, which can get really, really boring. You always are told bodybuilders only eat rice and chicken. And it really is true just because it's so easy to manage and it's so easy to cook. And it's, when you're food prepping. But I usually eat a lot of meats throughout my day. And in between those key meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'll have usually some protein shakes. So I keep it really, really easy and simple. It's really hard to eat 6 meals a day, especially
Yeah.
those real foods, as they like to say. But adding in those protein shakes really helps hit my protein count for the day and also helps me get those calories in.
Yeah, I like what you said there because like I'm that type of person the same way. So it's like, I'll typically eat like the same thing throughout like the week, and then maybe like the weekends it'll kind of differ here and there because like you might go out to dinner, you might go somewhere or whatnot. But I'm always that person. It's like, okay, if it's oatmeal and like peanut butter and like protein powder, like I could probably eat that for like 5 weeks straight. It,
Easily. Yeah.
and yeah,
That.
yeah, and people are like, well, doesn't that get boring? I'm like, and then back to like Nick's point, it's like your body's like a machine. You at some point, you're just gonna get what you need to go ahead and kill the day. Crush the day, whatever you want to call it. Not to be motivational like Nick over here, but you're gonna do what it takes. Like you can't sit there and like yeah, and like that's what makes back to like what we're talking about. Like you have to think about like eating all the time and what you're gonna eat that kind of eases those like worries and those thoughts because the fact that like Nick knows like that's his go-to breakfast, he gets fueled for the gym and he gets a good workout. Boom, easy enough. And then like the second thing I wanted to point out too is like what you said is like you consistently like added protein even though like you I didn't ask you to, you're just like, well, I'll add a protein shake here. And then maybe before dinner I'll have a protein shake there. So at least you're conscious about that because the fact that and my biggest thing about like building muscle or keeping muscle is probably protein in general. Like that's a like obviously there's 3 macronutrients, but out of those three, I think that's the most important. The other two are just gonna, you know, either make you, leaner or gain more weight, right? So
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I also think that going back to, eating the same thing over and over again, my diet has changed so much. So, I don't crave those things that everyone craves every single day. I think certain things now bother my stomach, or I'll be bloated, or my stomach will be distended, if I eat a certain thing that I grew up eating all the time. So I feel like when you eat the same thing over and over again, it's not boring, so to speak, because we're not craving all the stuff that we're so used to eating every day. These people that are not really tracking their diet don't really have a diet plan or a dietitian helping them, and they're eating these different things every day. You go and you are craving all these different sugars and all these different things and chocolate, and you have all these different options where now I'm satisfied on just oatmeal and peanut butter and protein shakes because I know it's getting the job done. I know I'm going to be able to fuel my workouts, fuel my day, whatever I have planned. And I'm not also craving all those other things that everyone else is craving because they're eating it every single day.
yeah. And then I want to ask you outside of food because I kind of want to get back to something that you said earlier about like the like acting and modeling. They might ask you to get in like some sort of shape. I do kind of want you to kind of give a little bit more information on that, especially like maybe on the modeling side, because I don't know, maybe it's more strict about things, but when you get like those jobs, do they tell you kind of up front, like say if you're modeling for a shoot for something where your shirt has to be off, like are they kind of upfront about that stuff? Because I'm curious on that side, and on like the physical aspect, are they like, how upfront are they, and like what are like kind of the things that they say?
Yeah, great question. So usually like with my agents, they know me well enough to know what kind of roles or what kind of modeling gigs I'm looking for. If obviously an agent gets paid based off of the roles and the things that you get. So a lot of people think that an agent gets paid from you, which is never the case. That's a huge red flag. You get paid based off of the work they provide you and the work that you do. So it motivates the agents to do their job and to find these bigger roles for you, because then they get a cut of that role. So whether it's a $300 commercial or a $300 million film, they're going to get a percentage of that based off of your work. And if you get cast in that role or that job, so they know me well enough to know what roles I'm going for. So they're never going to have me or have submit me to a casting agency that isn't going to be beneficial to me and what I'm looking for, and also what I fit. I fit that stereotype. I'm a bigger guy. I'm into fitness, so maybe they're casting me for a Gatorade commercial or a fitness commercial. They're not going to have me in a McDonald's commercial sitting at a table. I don't fit that stereotype, and people who are watching the TV aren't going to have that relationship with, they're like, yeah, that I don't believe that on TV. I always go into a role or an audition knowing that I fit that role or that stereotype. So it's never something that they tell me up front. I might get a couple of details of what the script might look like or what the overall shoot will look like, but I'm never going to walk on set like way left field when I'm expecting something on the right field of approaching it that way. So I've always went into stuff knowing that like my agent has my back and has my best interest. It's never going to be something where I'm against or something that doesn't fit me or my lifestyle. So yeah, I really appreciate that question. It's probably something a lot of people don't know, but I get submitted for a lot of stuff like action films and fitness shoots, stuff like that, where I'm expected to have my shirt off. I'm expected to get gelled up and body oiled up, for this commercial, running on a beach or whatever. I'm never going to be in like I said, a McDonald's commercial or anything like that.
I like that, because like some of my idea when you originally said that, I was like, do they just like kind of send you something where it's like, I want you 185 pounds, your biceps need to be a little bit bigger.
Like I'm never gonna get cast in a role where I'm someone's grandpa. It's what I love about acting, because I feel like you grow with it. I've gotten this question numerous times, like, are you ever too old to be an actor? And the honest question is no, you're not. There's so much you can do, whether it's voiceover work, and you grow with the industry. I might be auditioning for roles now that I'm not going to be auditioning for when I'm 85. I might be playing a dad or a grandpa or something that's like that. So I don't feel like you're ever too old. Just the roles that you get cast in and the roles you go for are going to be different than what I am doing now. Being 193 pounds with 10%, BMI. So it's different. But that's what I love about the acting industry is you never really grow out of it. You just grow with it.
Yeah. Real quick thought. When you said like something about like the acting age and whatnot, who was the guy? Was it the guy who played Magneto? Wasn't he like only famous like after those Marvel movies? Like, and like he was an actor his whole life, and like he never really made it until he was like in his like 70s or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I should know.
I heard it on a podcast the other day, but I was like, that's so interesting, because it's like like you bet when you said like any age that you can't, or maybe he just didn't act until that age. Maybe like for some reason like he just started like, hey, I'm retired, I want to do something, and then he casted for that, and then now he's like, and they probably made so much money off that.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart. So Magneto. He was in Harry Potter.
Oh, yep.
I think not Harry Potter.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. My apologies. So yeah, he just probably didn't do it. I don't know Patrick Stewart's whole like biography and what he did, but yeah, he he became really well known really late in his life. So people make it when they're 18, people make it when they're 30, people make it when they're 60. It really, it just depends on how long you want to be in the industry and how hard you're trying to work. That in itself, I always tell myself, and I've heard this from others as well, that the only thing that's going to prevent you from accomplishing your goals is you. If you quit, it'll never happen. But if you don't quit, there will always be that possibility of you accomplishing a dream. I don't know if that was Patrick Stewart's, mindset, but he never quit. And look where he is to now, super well known. He's been in, Logan. He's been in all these Wolverine movies, Magneto. So yeah, I think that in itself fuels me. The unknown, to people get nervous off of that, but for me, the unknown is really, really something that motivates me. That my whole life can change next week by doing a role. I really thrive off of that, and it's exciting for me.
Now, question about shaking The Rock or Dwayne Johnson's hand for the first time. How did that?
I haven't washed his hand since, so I'm happy we're doing this Skype because it smells terrible.
Yeah, when I was working out, I was like, dude, why does your right hand smell so bad? He goes, oh, I just haven't washed it. I only washed my left hand. I'm like, what the hell?
May 13th, I haven't washed it, yeah.
Now, well, I mean, you could talk about some of that experience, but I just know, like, growing up, like, we were big into wrestling, and, like, Dwayne Johnson was honestly one of the biggest wrestlers, like, when we were kids growing up. And to be able to be in your shoes and do that, that's, like, probably such a great thing to be a part of, and, like, something that, a lot of people don't get that feeling, that in-person handshake and whatnot. How did that feel when it came to doing something like that, and like where you came from and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean that happened very unexpectedly. I didn't join Teremana or wanted to represent Teremana just because I knew there was the possibility of meeting Dwayne Johnson. That was never the goal. That was just something that I knew that could happen. And May 13th is the day that it actually happened at the XFL Super Bowl, so to speak, the final game of the season. And I think not knowing and that surprise made it that much more special just because I didn't know it was going to happen. But like you said, like we idolized those people back in the day, the Attitude Era in the 90s. And it's, those at the time were like our superheroes, seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and Mark Calloway, and, all these people that now we look up to as legends, So I always admired Dwayne for like his entertainment perspective. And now, in my life, I respect him in so many different ways. The way he carries himself off and on camera, the way he treats the fitness, his fitness and his family. He's always about family first. How he's always about, the easiest thing I could do as an actor and with my fame is to give back to the people and to, take a selfie with them. That takes a couple of seconds to shake their hand and look them in the eye and say thank you. Just the way he carries himself, he's more to me than just an actor. He's someone that's really an inspirational figure to me and an industry leader. If I could mirror anyone's life, it would be DJ. He's had a lot of inspiration on me just as a human being, the way I approach things in life and how I treat people. I think it's easy for him because he wasn't spoon-fed the industry. He worked for what he did. After he departed wrestling, a lot of people were against the fact of him becoming an actor because there was no blueprint for someone who was 270, 6'4". He didn't really know what he was doing, and for, the Scorpion King now to doing, Black Adam and to doing all these other films over, so long, he's really grown in the industry. But so, yeah, meeting him and having that opportunity where the stars aligned, even if it was very brief, I think he was in the room for about 7 minutes and I talked to him for about a minute. But just being able to have that opportunity to meet someone that you admire in so many ways and has had that impact on you and to be able to just thank them was something that was truly remarkable and something really special for me. And it kind of made me reflect on life and see life differently now. It just had a very impactful moment and altered a lot of the way I think now. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. It was something that I'll never forget for sure. And I hope I can meet him again down in the future. But if that was the only opportunity I had, I'm really grateful that I had it.
And also too, you still have the time to get where he's at when it comes to like the acting and whatnot. Because I mean, you're gonna keep doing good things, and I know you are, and you're gonna be successful. And like what you said about like the blueprint and everything, that reminds me of like my person, like who I idolize would be like Arnold. And like someone like him with like him was like in the really big in the lifting career, and like you said, like there was no blueprint for him, and like the way his body looked, and people would, and probably it was probably not to compare, but it was kind of hard probably for him because most of the time like the movie scenes, like no one was like his size. And so maybe like having someone like that like made Dwayne Johnson be like a bigger actor because he was able to get that opportunity. Because like back in the day they were like, we don't want you over 200 pounds. They're like, and then so he didn't want to like lose all the weight, but like eventually like people were a little bit more lenient. People were trying to give him that opportunity to see what he has. And it's like pretty crazy because like now we have like people like you, Dwayne Johnson, like Arnold, who acted, Hugh Jackman, which like he deadlifted like I think like 400 or 500 pounds, and like he's pretty jacked himself. So it's like stuff like that just reminds like how far we've come from like the 70s and like the acting eras and like the 80s to like now, where it's like it's huge. It's like it's part of like the film industry now. So it's like I'm glad that you kept up with it, because now like you're part of like the bigger picture when it comes to acting and film. Because the fact that back in the day they didn't have that. They had like smaller frames, like what, like Al Pacino, where it was just something like that, or like Robert De Niro, where Robert De Niro never
Mr. Johnny Depp, one of the best actors of our childhood. Yeah, so I 100% agree with that. Dwayne's talked about this numerous times in interviews about how he talks about like when he was younger, how his agents and the production studios wanted him to change. They wanted him to lose weight. Like, you can't call yourself The Rock anymore. You can't be a wrestler. You can't look like this. You have to lose weight. And he always said to himself, and I think he's said this in most recent interviews, is that looking back, he always just kept the same. He said, if I'm going to make it and I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that I don't change. I'm myself, and I'm going to do this the right way. And it took some time, but yeah, you're right. I think the industry has changed a lot these years. Back to the back in the back, when we were younger, how different it was, and I think it's benefited him. And it's opened up a lot of opportunities for people like me and other actors as well, who are bigger or don't look cookie cutter to what actors are supposed to look like. So I 100% agree with you.
Is that kind of your mindset then too, as well as like you're gonna just stay true to yourself, and you're gonna just keep doing this because that's like who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think the most beautiful thing you can be is yourself.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. I feel like everyone's different, and there's a reason for that. Obviously, you change with the roles that you get, but as far as me as a human, as who I am, the values I have, the person I am, that's never going to change. I will change for a role, but I won't change myself. Because you always want to be genuine, and you want to be your true self for sure.
Um, Also too, I don't know if you saw it, but they did just release a Johnny Depp trial on Netflix. Speaking.
I watched the entire trial, so I don't need to watch it on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I remember you being a huge Johnny Depp fan, and also too, you casted it on a bunch of Jack Sparrow stuff too, right?
Yeah, I did some partnerships with Disney back in the day, being like Captain Jack Sparrow impersonator, basically. But yeah, John Depp's.
Did they remove that now or no? Because I heard that they're supposedly going to remove some of it, or no?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I haven't heard that, so I can't confirm that or not. But
well, yeah. Well, that was a scary part about all, because like I guess because it was Disney, and because of all that stuff like going on and whatnot, there was like a possibility of him like getting canceled or whatnot. And like it's like, or like they would stop selling stuff that had like Johnny Depp as like Captain Jack Sparrow. It's like
Yeah.
Really, like he's the one who made.
I mean, Disney kind of shot themselves in the foot by kind of like making Johnny Depp guilty before he actually was guilty. And he went through the steps, years of just being quiet, and then given the time at the right time, he told his side of the story in trial. And obviously based off of the jury and the judge, he's innocent. So I don't think there should be any reason as to why they should take stuff away, especially since he's made them over, multi-billions of dollars in the film industry. So I would have nothing but praise for Johnny Depp, and hopefully we get to see him again in a future Disney film. But I think that's up to Disney to publicly apologize to the man for what they did to him. So I'm on Depp's side when it comes to that.
Probably one last question before I get you to do some like ending thoughts or comments. Because I could talk to you all day, buddy. Like I remember we're working out, and I'm pretty sure we worked out for like 2 hours. So, and usually we don't typically work out for 2 hours. But what is like what is some of the big aspirations and like some of the goals that you're truly fighting for when it comes to your three big career like resume factors right now and what you want to do. Like what is like one of the biggest goals that you have, or one of the goals you're working towards right now?
So I think the biggest goal was to give myself enough freedom to be able to do more acting. I really do miss it. I've kind of taken a step back, and a lot of people have called me out for it just because of the industry I'm in right now, which I'm enjoying thoroughly. Obviously, it's made me have the opportunity and allowed me to shake Dwayne Johnson's hand and just all the awesome things I've been able to see and travel to. But I really do want to take a step back and kind of dive more into acting. I'm currently looking right now to potentially make the move over to Georgia. And I say Georgia because I have a lot of actor friends who live out there who have been doing this for way longer than me. And also just with Tyler Perry Studios and all those studios that are out in Georgia, I just feel like there's way more opportunity, and I kind of fit the mold better in Georgia based off the films and commercials that are being done out there. So I think you say three. I would say one of the biggest things I really want to start focusing on is getting back into acting and kind of the roots of as to why I started doing all this, because I do miss it. And I feel like I'm giving myself, not enough credit for how much I've done and how much I've focused and invested in over, the 15 years I've been doing acting. So I really owe it to myself and to the people that I also have inspired and helped get to where they are today within the film and acting industry. So I really do want to start focusing on that more. And I have started to put together pieces to make that happen. I talked in the beginning of the podcast about, my most passionate projects are my self projects. And I just shot one actually last week that I've been trying to do for a while, and I made it happen while I was home. So doing more of that, doing more stuff that fuels, my purpose. I really want to get back into that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, as I say, you inspire a lot of people, especially like knowing you live. We didn't even mention it. We grew up down the street from each other as well too. So it's been a long time coming, buddy. And I definitely thank you for getting on here, telling your story, telling what like this career is all about. Because like I said, we never had like someone like you on the podcast, and I think having someone like you and like someone that's like respected like the fitness and health and your goals and whatnot, I always thought you were the perfect like guest on here as well. Any comments, any ending comments you want to mention, where people could find you, where you want to shout out anything, please go ahead. It's your time, and then we'll wrap it up, buddy.
Yeah, if anyone, I always say like I'd rather have people reach out to me because I've been through it. I've been through ropes. I know what things not to look for and what things to look for. If people wanted to start maybe doing film or getting into acting industry, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help. I've helped out so many people. I've made phone calls to people to talk to them about how they can go ahead and start acting. I always want to be an outlet to help people because I know I didn't get to where I am today without the help of my friends and people that I can call and talk to nowadays, mentors, stuff like that. So you can always find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at the Wolf of Chicago. The Wolf of Chicago because a makeup artist actually gave me that nickname a few years ago because they always say I'm hungry for my craft. So I thought the Wolf of Chicago kind of fit perfectly for that. So that's an alias of mine. So at the Wolf of Chicago, you can reach me on there. Also on Facebook, Nick Bravo on Facebook. And if you want, you can always email me, which is nickbravo89@gmail.com. So I'm always here to help people out. One of the things I love doing is to help people. So I'm really hoping that if you do want to get to acting, you can reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.